Hello, Internet. So, did you know that your brain wants you to be fat? It does. How does this make sense? Well, I'm going to tell you, but first, let me welcome you to the Empirical Sword. I'm Lore Master DLC79. I happen to believe that school doesn't teach. We have to be the masters of our education, at least until we can reform the school system to do its job of preparing people for life. And that's kind of what the whole mission is here. I'll tell you more about that at the end of the video. But let's get back to this, your brain wants you to be fat. How does that make any kind of biological sense that your brain wants you to be fat? Well, first of all, let's kind of remove the anthropomorphization. I should have chosen an easier word to say. Your brain doesn't actually want you to be fat, but there are certain mechanisms up here that lead to certain behaviors that can lead to you being fat. So what exactly is going on here? Well, again, we have to rewind to at least 10,000 years ago, if not earlier. And yes, this talks more about evolution. It's a thing. Get used to it. But the human body evolved under conditions of starvation, meaning that a lot of the mechanisms in our bodies and in our brains are about surviving starvation. And one of the behaviors that developed in caveman days is if there's food in front of you, you eat it. If you're full and food is in front of you, you eat it. In fact, if there's food in front of you, your brain is wired to make you want to eat it until you literally cannot hold anymore. In fact, if you didn't grow up in a household with this type of parent, you've probably seen on sitcoms or movies the kind of dinner table exchange where a child is not eating their vegetables because icky. I never really understood that. I mean, some spinach, asparagus. It's like why do we? That's beside the point. Tangent. But the child is not eating their vegetables, and one of the parents is, well, there's starving children in Africa who would love to have that. And maybe or maybe not, depending on the context. The child is like, well, why don't we send it over to Africa so the starving children can have it? And the thing is, the parents, they're not really immediately concerned with the starving children in Africa. That's not the point. The point is, there are mechanisms in the human brain that go, oh, there's food in front of me, I have to eat it. Otherwise, tomorrow I could be starving. And when you're a parent, this mechanism gets transferred to how you take care of your children. There's food in front of my child. My child is not eating. My child should be eating because tomorrow my child can be starving. It's a pre-programmed, pre-wired reflex that is in our brains. We're like not okay. Some people might be born without it, but that's in a way a birth defect. The vast majority of us are born with that reflex that if there's food in front of us, we eat it, unless it tastes nasty, like asparagus. Stop with the asparagus. And this is the way the INTJ brain works. I am now picturing that on a t-shirt. Just a bright green t-shirt, white letters, stop with the asparagus. Tangent. We don't edit, so that's going in. But the bottom line is, the vast majority of us are born with that reflex to eat if there's something tasty nearby. Because tomorrow we could be starving. But here's the thing. That world doesn't exist anymore. If you have access to transportation that puts you less than an hour away from a grocery store, a gas station, or some other source of food, guess what? You're not starving. And I don't care if you don't have money. Homeless people don't have money. They can walk into the soup kitchen. Guess what? Food's there. Free. I mean, there are parts of the world where starvation is still a thing. But most likely, if you're watching this video, you're not in one of them. And unfortunately, it's... Okay, this is really more of a topic for the next video, but the media really exploits this reflex to eat anything that's in front of us. They actually make it worse. Think of all the commercials you see on TV. Advertising food. Steakhouses. All the salads they serve. All the steak they serve. Chicken tenders. Bloomin' onions. I don't want to mention any brand names because they might advertise on YouTube and then... stuff. But we know who they are. Hamburgers and French fries and hot dogs and ice cream and ice cream and ice cream and cake and pizza. All the food that's advertised on TV, you're just inundated. Okay, this is the next video. I need to control myself. But the thing is, it's all connected. It's all connected, and it's like very difficult to talk about one thing without springboarding to the next thing over. But it's all basically connected, and we have so much information bombarding us every day that wants to exploit this eat everything in front of you reflex. And we're even more sensitive to it because of all this information, all this advertising. So what do you do to fix it? Be self-aware. Know when this reflex is being triggered. Are you really hungry? When you get cravings for something really, really tasty, are you really hungry, or do you just crave the taste? Again, I know it's a lot of people want like some sort of quick fix of, oh, I just have to do this and it'll shut the thing off. The human brain doesn't work that way. You need to be aware of how it's pushing you to alter your behavior, and you need to consciously work against your own brain in order to control it. And admittedly, INTJs do have an advantage in this area because we're obsessed with self-control, being in control of everything. I mean, world domination, that's our thing. It's like we don't want to just be in control of ourselves. We want to be in control of everything. World domination. Other people, on the other hand, most people are not that concerned with even self-control. So it will be a bit of an effort if you're not an INTJ. Or I mean, there are probably other personality types that have the self-discipline or are more inclined to the self-discipline. Let's not be stereotypical here. But I mean, the self-discipline is achievable. You just have to work at it. And it's completely independent of personality type. And yeah, that's basically the bottom line right there. It's self-control, self-awareness. Just be aware of your eating habits and your cravings. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with eating a steak once in a while. That's really another thing. The types of foods that you crave. I mean, admittedly, a lot of it is how much, not what. But what is a factor. You may be eating no more than 3 meals a day, but if it's all ice cream, you're probably going to be fat. And probably a little malnourished. Because I mean, here's the thing. You don't need dessert. I mean, people are always saying you save room for dessert. Why? You don't need dessert. What do you need? Fats, carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals. If you're getting that in your main course, you don't need dessert. It's as simple as that. First step, cut out dessert. Ice cream, cake. I don't really do sweet stuff, so I have no idea what people eat for dessert. Candy bar, is candy bar a dessert? I don't know. Yeah, that's another thing. Snacks. That's right, it's a snack. Yeah, cut out the snacking as well. Self-control, 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 self-awareness, self-control. Self-awareness first, then self-control. You can't control something you're not aware of. Self-control is dependent upon self-awareness. So be aware of your eating habits and the cravings that are driving your eating habits, then control them. It sounds simple, but it is work. And yes, even as an INTJ, I do have cravings. Not as much as I used to. But there was this one time I was really, really sick, and I won't go into the details about, it was one of those stomach things. I will leave it at that. And it was bad, so bad that the doctor said that I was almost dehydrated enough to be hospitalized. So, yeah, bad. And there were days there, like 2 days, that I just, no food at all. And when I started eating again, it was applesauce and other things with no taste. After 2 days of no food, I wanted food, real food. So when I got tired of the applesauce and the bananas and the other yuck, pizza. I wanted pizza. And in one sitting, I ate half a pizza, and I hurt afterward, but it was totally worth it. But, see, the thing is, after 2 days of no food, that pizza was probably better for me than the little thingies of applesauce. With a well-balanced diet, pizza, maybe not that good for you. At least not every day. And this is another one of those videos where it's just dragging on because I keep rambling. So yeah, let's cut it right here. So yeah, school doesn't teach, and this is one of those things that school doesn't teach. But we have to be the masters of our education, so that one day we can reform the school system to teach the things that it should be teaching, like this, like how your brain wants you to be fat, and how certain ancient instincts will control your life in a way that will put you in a place that you don't want to be, such as poor health. And okay, granted, fat doesn't necessarily equal poor health, but there is a correlation. But yeah, the end goal, reform the school system. That's what it is, and we need people. And I happen to believe that there are a lot of people who are let down by the school system and haven't yet figured out that it's not their fault. And they're in a place of like blaming themselves. And they're just like retreating into entertainment, like gaming. And that's why I'm doing a lot of gaming content on my channel, trying to get this in front of gamers, trying to get the attention of gamers and say, hey, come over here. Because you're smarter than you think. You can get this. And you'll be blown away by the fact that school is not teaching this. That's what I'm doing here. And if you want to see more of that, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified whenever videos like these drop. And whatever you're watching next, I will see you then.